Good morning. I am Kevin Price. Delighted to be with you. Going to spend some time talking to you about you and your business. Always delighted to have Chris Corso on the show. He's with the Corso Law Group. That's Corso lawgroup.com. He's a regular contributor on The Price of Business. And we'd like to bring him on to talk about civil liberty issues as a long-term established practice in Arizona, has recently expanded into Texas, and we're delighted to have him as a part of our show. How are you doing today, Chris?
Not too bad. How are you, Kevin? It's great to be here, as always.
Glad to have you on the program. Real quickly, kind of give us the overview of what your practice is all about.
Thank you. Yeah, we, as you said, we're a criminal law firm. We started off in Arizona and then opened another office over in Houston there, and we're great. We're real happy to be there. We do a lot of criminal work, all the way from traffic up to some felony work, and just try to educate the people and educate our clients. We handle things in a little slightly different way than most attorneys do. We take care of basically the family and the client versus just the case. So, we're excited to be down in Houston and look forward to a long, successful existence there.
Yeah, I expect nothing else, nothing less than that. Talk a little bit about our topic at hand. I think it's a really timely one. What the idea was, bringing Chris on as a regular on the show, is to talk about our civil liberties, which I think is one of the most important issues of our time. And for decades, really, we like to use 2001, September 11th, as kind of as the milestone in our willingness to trade liberties for security. But really, this has been tipping away for a long time. America is significantly less free on so many different fronts today than it was decades ago. And one of the most important areas is that of freedom of speech. And we're going to focus on that today. Kind of give us some background for our topic today.
Yeah, thanks. And you're right. It's one of the cornerstones, and little by little, and we don't, I think, even realize, and maybe that's the intention of some of it that's being taken away. But I want to talk a little bit about free speech, talking about social media, which is prevalent. It's everywhere. We're talking about Twitter and Facebook and things like that. I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and how some things are being affected by that. And we got some pretty good examples about it. And just people that get on there and say a lot of things and they have the right to, and a lot of rights about what you can talk about. We spoke about that last week, about some of the do's and don'ts of what you can say. And now, this is hitting. It's not just a regional thing anymore. It's now not even national. It's international. I mean, these social media outlets touch everybody in the world for a lot of different things, and we have some examples of how that happens, and some of the consequences to doing that, with private companies and employment and things like that. So it is a pretty important topic, and it is timely for some of the things that are happening right now, Kevin.
Yeah, no question about it. You gave an example of some information I saw from you about TCU. Talk about that, Texas Christian University.
Yeah, you had a student there that tweeted some about the Baltimore riots, and we've all been reading about that and know about that. And he tweeted some pretty inflammatory, derogatory things that had some racial comments and things like that. And the thought and then the mindset of it is, well, hey, I'm on social media. I can pretty much say whatever I want. I don't know what the regulations are. Well, what happened was, TCU suspended him. Because of the types of statements they were, and they were getting a lot of backlash. So, they suspended him from school. And, whether you think that's fair or not fair, the university has their take on is, hey, we're a private company, basically. We're a private university, and we don't have to meet, specific standards for disciplining and suspending. We can do this, as a lot of private companies can do.
Both at TCU and this person who, said these, heinous remarks, but they both have free speech issues?
Yeah, well, the thing about it is, again, the problem with the free speech is people they take it only to a certain spot, a certain point, and then the thought cuts off. You say, well, hey, I can, there's free speech. I can say what I want. You can. you can say anything you want pretty much anywhere. Nobody's holding you down with a gun to your head, controlling you with like a puppet strings, telling you what the words that are coming out of your mouth. But where people don't take it to the next step is the consequences, because there are significant consequences to the things you say and do. And again, with social media, it's very easy for people to take that. It's easy to put things out there. You're not face to face with somebody, and you just never really consider the consequences. So yeah, free speech, it's there, but I just don't think people understand what can come then. And there's so many.
What I mean by that is that freedom of association is like a free speech issue, right? And if he's a member of their university, it's kind of part of their free speech to remove him if he's not complying with what they agree to be a part of that institution. You understand what I mean?
Yeah, that, and it's funny because part of this country is to say, hey, you know what, you have the right to say something that that boils my blood, but I also have the right to react to it, mm-hmm. and there's certain things in place for that. And again, these, a lot of it surrounds revenue. I mean, I know you talk a lot about, business and revenue and economic. This is what a lot of this is about. You have, these universities, they have big endowments. They have contributors, alumni. And this is not just, like I say, regional. This is worldwide, And so when something like that goes out there, these companies that are private, they say, hey, look, this is a black eye. There is no bigger example. I was thinking about this morning, and it's timely for this week because the New England Patriots are coming in to play the Texans this weekend. And, I don't know if you remember the story, for about 8 months it dominated the news, the sports world anyway, about Tom Brady, the quarterback for the New England Patriots. And a tweet went out 10 months ago, that talked about them breaking the rules. It was an inaccurate comment, but it triggered an investigation. It triggered 8 months and millions of dollars worth of investigation, and it then went to the federal court, and it clogged up the court, and it really irritated the judge at that point. So because the NFL is a huge corporation, it's a big company, they don't want the black eye, and they're private, so they can do that. But you can see what can happen with that. Millions of dollars that probably could have gone somewhere else was put in to defend this or go after him. And this all started with a simple tweet from an ESPN reporter that was an inaccurate statement. And it triggered all of that. So it's what you put out there. The ramifications can be beyond what your thoughts are, and that's why it's such an important thing. But yeah, you can put out there and say whatever you want, but you have to understand that there's going to be consequences, especially in the private sector, because of the black eye that it can cause to these big companies, universities, and so on.
So, for prudence sake, with the little time we have left, give us some guidelines, give us some thoughts.
Well, when you're doing this, I mean, you're out there, you're on social media, you just have to be cognizant. The guidelines are nothing inflammatory. If you're going to talk about things, racist comments, I mean, things that we all know, hey, if I was standing in front of somebody's face, would I say this? And therefore maybe I shouldn't put it out there. And, I'm a big advocate of free speech, as I know you are. But mm-hmm. you also have to protect yourself. So some of the guidelines, that you want to look for are, keep it within the realm of things that you would normally say to somebody's face. Nothing racist, nothing inflammatory, threatening and things like that. With a lot of the things that are going on, the Chicago issue, the protests and the Baltimore riots, those are really the guidelines, but there really isn't much else. There's a lot of things you can just say, free will, but again, the consequences of it can be honestly catastrophic for people. They can lose their job, their education, and so on. But, you just have to, my thought, Kevin, all the time is, hey, if I wouldn't say it to somebody's face, maybe I shouldn't put that out there, So because it stays with you for the rest of your life. It never deletes. They can delete it all you want, but once it's out there and once it's retweeted, forget about it. No, yeah, it's everywhere at that point. It's just viral at that point. So, and it's worldwide now. It's not regional. It's not even national. It's international. Everything. So, in this day and age where everything's easy to get to, you're going to see it. It's going to come out there. And if it's anything of interest to anybody, there's money to be made on both sides for these kind of things too. Let's not forget that.
Yes, no question about it. Chris Corso, he's with the Corso Law Group, a regular contributor on The Price of Business, and does defense law because, frankly, you know what? In our culture, in our society today, we have 5% of the world's population and over 20% of the world's prisoners. Everyone needs to have an attorney, and we need to understand our civil liberties. We are not like sheep, and that's why I like Chris and why I like to have him come on and really be a resource to our audience. Thanks so much, Chris.
Kevin, thank you. We want to help everyone. Thanks.
You bet. Corso, C-O-R-S-O, Law Group, more.com. More for you after this on The Price of Business.